Rome didn't fall to barbarians. It fell to broken money.
The popular belief is that Rome fell suddenly, collapsing overnight under the weight of barbarian invasions. But the truth is far more complex.
Rome weakened itself before enemies arrived. Rome did not fall in a day, but rotted over generations.
The collapse begins not with an invasion, but when the people stop believing. When the shared faith in the empire simply fades away. The illusion of prosperity masked a quiet decay. As the empire expanded, the silver content in its currency. At its peak, the empire projected an image of invincible prosperity. Few realized how fragile this golden age truly was.
In the bustling forum, the empire's true strength is visible not in legions, but in the quiet exchange of silver.
The stability of the empire relied on an unspoken contract. Citizens paid their taxes. The value of these coins exists only because people believe it does. Once that collective trust is lost, the currency is worthless. Order exists because people expect stability.
Doubt begins quietly. When the very symbol of an empire's strength, its currency, is questioned, the foundation starts to crack. People sense change before collapse arrives. The denarius as real value, not a promise.
Soldiers trusted the denarius with their lives. The universal currency underpinned the vast economic network of the empire. The denarius was trusted far beyond the empire's borders, symbolizing Rome's economic reach across the Mediterranean world.
As confidence in the empire declined, so did the currency. The true value was not declared by the mint.
The vast network of Roman roads was the backbone of the empire, but it was sound money, the denarius, that
This was the denarius. The empire and its money rose together. The strength of the denarius. Success strengthens belief in Rome and its money.
In the high Roman Empire, trade thrived on stable money. This created a virtuous cycle to Beluvans. This infrastructure of trust, built on sound money, allowed the empire to invest in the future, quite literally embed.
This authority, sustained only by confidence, begins to fracture when that belief fades away. Authority is sustained by confidence. But as belief fades, power fractures.
The loyalty of the legions rested entirely upon prompt payment, an enormous and relentless cost to the imperial treasury.
The empire could no longer sustain itself through conquest. The legions were now defenders, not attackers.
The upkeep of empire was endless. These roads and aqueducts demanded constant labor and consumed countless coins.
Between the plagues and constant unrest, the tax base eroded significantly. The revenue simply could not match the spiraling costs.
No easy solutions remain.
Unable to levy more taxes, the emperor turned to debasement, a hidden form of taxation achieved.
Down with these taxes! We will not pay!
It is merely a minor reduction, justified as temporary.
The integrity of the denarius must be maintained.
In the desperate scramble for solvency, quantity replaced quality. The silver content plummeted. Once the public trust finally collapses, the value of the currency is lost forever, a point of no return for the Roman economy.
The standards were quietly lowered.
Once the debasement began, discipline faded, and purity marked.
By the authority of the Emperor, this debasement is necessary. The silver coinage shall henceforth be valued at 50%.
The common man didn't need imperial charts to understand the collapse. He could feel the difference in his palm. The silver was the merchants adjusted their prices almost daily. In the chaotic marketplace, they moved much faster than the rulers in the Senate.
Take your worthless coins elsewhere! I demand grain!
The imperial currency, once the bedrock of the economy, was now little more than scrap metal.
The relentless hammering produced more coins, but their value plummeted. It was a downward momentum signaling collapse. Inflation wasn't just abstract policy in Rome. It was visible in the marketplace, etched into the very fabric of daily life.
This is robbery! How can we feed our families at these prices?
Blame the Emperor, not me. The coin is worthless, the wheat is real.
Merchants anticipating further devaluation demanded more coins for the same goods. The expectation of inflation became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
As the currency rapidly lost its value, citizens frantically exchanged their coins for anything tangible, desperate to escape.
As the value of the silver plummeted, the hard-earned savings of Roman families simply evaporated.
As the currency plummeted, merchants began raising prices preemptively, creating an inflation spiral that ultimately consumed the empire's economy.
In the 3rd century, the loyalty of the legions was bought with hard coin. The empire's survival literally hung in the balance.
Though paid in coin for their service, the legionaries found their wages were rapidly losing all meaning. The cost...
The silver, official! Where is the silver you promised us? We cannot feed our families with debased coin. Patience, patience!
For the 3rd century emperors, the choice was brutal. Refusal to pay the legions risked immediate rebellion.
Raising wages forces more coin production.
This isn't worth the bronze it's printed on. I cannot feed my family with this worthless scrap metal.
With the empire's silver increasingly worthless, these merchants demanded real value, finding stability only in the trusted weight of gold. With the collapse of the currency, money no longer facilitated exchange. The empire returned to barter. As the flow of trade faltered, the cities starved. The great warehouses stood empty. The great arteries of Roman trade, once vibrant with commerce, now lay abandoned.
The economic circulation halts. Money loses its purpose.
This inflation crisis, unseen in its scale, meant that a lifetime of work could vanish in mere moments, reducing hard currency to worthless powder. While his pension remained fixed, the price of bread soared, leaving the elderly impoverished and hopeless. When working the land was no longer worth the cost, and inflation rendered their harvests worthless, the farmers abandoned the fields. As the imperial economy fractured, the denarius lost its value. Here in the Forum, only tangible goods mattered now.
The silver is worthless! We are starving while you feast! Give us bread, not your debased coins!
While the empire crumbled under the weight of inflation, the asset owners not only survived, they thrived. Wealth flowed relentlessly towards the top. As the legions faltered and the cities burned, the very fabric of the Roman Empire began to crack under the strain. This was the crisis of the 3rd century. 50 years of instability where no leadership lasted. As the silver content vanished, the people lost faith in the empire's currency. The very foundation of the economy began to melt away. The silence in the markets was deafening. With trust gone, the vast Roman trade network began to unravel.
Taxes were now demanded in kind, not money.
This is all I have left. You can't take the grain.
With the economy in ruins, citizens abandoned the cities. The systemic failure was complete, and
As money loses power, the state steps in.
By imperial decree, this market is closed.
as the 3rd century wore on, the imperial government no longer trusted its own money, demanding taxes in vital goods like grain and livestock instead. left us. As the empire centralized, the freedom of the farmer vanished. They became mere appendages of the field.
In the late empire, cooperation was replaced by coercion. The legions enforced the will of Rome.
Move those blocks! We do not ask anymore. The Emperor demands your labor.
Order was maintained, but prosperity was gone. When trust dies, the markets die with it, fading now to black.
The prices of all goods and services are fixed by this law.
But the edict on maximum prices ultimately failed to stop the collapse.
With the edict on maximum prices, thousands of prices were now fixed by imperial law.
Silence! You defy the Emperor's fixed prices! Please, we only sought to feed our families. The law became a tool of oppression.
As the official economy crumbled, real prices returned, but only in the shadows of the city. The edict was quietly abandoned, a stark reminder that the limits of state power are often defined by economic reality.
The denarius no longer functions as real money.
The denarii was accepted, but only on duress.
Pay your taxes now, or face the consequences.
This wheat is worth more than that small amount of oil. The harvest was poor.
Take it or leave it. My costs are rising daily.
The Emperor decrees this new currency must be accepted by all citizens.
But declarations could not restore the trust that was lost.
For instance, the economic unity of Rome was dissolving. With no common unit of value, the sophisticated imperial coinage was rapidly
The currency was no longer trusted. Merchants refused the debased denarii.
I cannot take these, they are worthless.
But they are all I have left.
He understood that the broken money could no longer be repaired with empty promises. The old system had to be swept away. The debased silver was worthless. Only a return to intrinsic value, the pure gold solidus.
The introduction of the gold solidus brought a new stability. But confidence, once lost, returns.
While sound money stabilized the East, for the West, it was too little, too late.
As the West collapsed, Byzantium survived, backed by a currency that endured for centuries.
The collapse wasn't a single event. Rome did not fall in a moment, but slowly, over generations.
Rome collapsed inward first. The systems failed long before the armies did.
Military strength erodes without economic support. A rusted sword and worthless coins became the true symbols of the late empire. As the economy faltered, the borders became porous. Enemies exploited this existing collapse, demonstrating that weakness, not strength, invites invasion.
The enemies of Rome were not the cause of its collapse, merely the opportunists. They exploited a weakness all...
Rome's lesson returned centuries later, showing that ancient mistakes can be reborn in modern times.
They believed they could print their way out of debt. The Reichsbank presses ran continuously, creating money to hide the staggering sums owed. They were paid in massive bundles, yet the money was nearly worthless. Wages could not keep up with the soaring cost of living.
A lifetime of savings, meticulously recorded in these books, was...
As the economy collapsed, the streets filled with rage.
We want bread! Down with the system!
From ancient Rome to Weimar Germany, history offers a grim warning. The collapse of currency inevitably leads to the ruin of society itself.
Different forms, same deception.
We mistake the printing of currency for the creation of wealth. But this monetary expansion is merely an illusion, masking a deeper instability.
The silent tax of inflation means that while the prices on the shelf creep higher, the value of your dollar silently shrinks.
Real assets like land and gold preserve value, while paper money deteriorates, and the working class absorbs the losses.
Methods evolve, behavior remains.
The real war is fought over money.
People pay the price without realizing it. When the very coins of the empire were refused, the bonds of trust shattered, and with it, the economy collapsed.
My word is the law of the empire. Though the crowds may vanish, the power of Rome endures.
From the ashes of empire to the towers of the modern age, the pattern transcends time. We repeat the same mistakes,